Alright guys, welcome to part 8 of the CR250 build. Today we're going to be completely restoring the shock and powder coating the shock spring. I'm going to do the same red that I did the cylinder head in. So we have to take it not completely apart, but we got to get the spring off and clean the body and the outside of it. It doesn't need to be rebuilt, so I'm just going to not open it up internally and just leave it the way it is right now, but just make it look awesome and shine it up and everything. So I already have it in the vise here, as you can see. What we first have to do is loosen up these nuts right here so that we can get the circlip out of here, and then we can pull the shock spring off. Alright, so if I take a flathead screwdriver, I don't have a spanner wrench, so I'm just going to take a flathead screwdriver and just like a dead blow right here and hit it. Alright, so I got these nuts threaded all the way down to the bottom. They were kind of stuck, so it was kind of a pain to get them off, but they're loose now, and we took the circlip out of here that holds, so basically this piece slides onto there, and then you put the circlip in after it, and then you lock it against the circlip, and that's what holds the spring on. So now with these two pieces off, this spring will just come right off like that, and we can sandblast it and powder coat it, and we need to clean up this entire shock body. I'm not, like I said, I'm not taking it all the way apart. I'm just going to clean the exterior of it. Alright, I'm going to do as much of the shock cleaning as I can. It turns out these nuts don't thread all the way off. You got to take the shock completely apart to be able to get these off. So I'm going to clean up the body and everything by hand as much as I can in the vise with the soft jaws with a wire brush, probably a Scotch-Brite pad, like something like this, and I have this degreaser, purple degreaser right here, and then I'm going to use the Scotch-Brite wheel on the buffer to clean up the clevis, make that look awesome, and then we're going to clean this probably in the sink with degreaser, and then we're going to have to, it looks like this is powder coated or painted, so we're going to have to strip that off with the Scotch-Brite wheel on the buffer, and then we can sandblast it and powder coat it. Alright, so now we have this top area right here pretty clean aside from the clevis and the bolt, which I'm actually going to clean it up with the Scotch-Brite. Alright guys, so off camera I ended up using the Scotch-Brite wheel and shined up the two shock bolts right here and the nuts, and then this plate as well shined up, and the circlip. And then I also did, on camera, I did the clevis, and I cleaned this piece up as well. All under in there is all clean, this is all clean right here, and then the entire shock body is also, it's clean. We didn't strip off the coating on it because I think the coating looks really cool, and we also took the upper shock bearing out because we have a new one of those. So we're gonna press that one in, but for now I need to shine these nuts up on the Scotch-Brite wheel, and then we can press in the top shock bearing. Alright, so for the lower shock bearing, the upper shock bearing, we have a kit from All Balls, actually from Rocky Mountain. And if we open it up here, we've got some stickers over here, but two seals. You need two seals for it. And they give you two circlips. This model of shock actually only uses one, and then the bearing right here, which it looks like it comes pre-greased. So we're going to go ahead and press that in with the bench vise over there, and press in the seals as well. Alright, we're just going to crank on it with the vise, and it should just go right in. Alright, so as I said before, this shock only uses one circlip, but they gave us two, so I don't know if they just gave us an extra or what, but this circlip just has to go in the groove down there, and this is a pretty weak circlip, so it should just kind of slip in. And it looks like it should be in the groove. Alright, so now circlip is in, we're just going to press in the seals. We should be able to just press these in by hand. If not, I'm going to put some grease on them. Alright, so we pressed in the top shock bearing. It's in there, it's not coming out unless we pull it out again, but there's no point in that because it's in now. But now we're going to have to clean this up in the sink with degreaser and make it like just clean, not shiny, but clean. And then we're going to take it to the Scotch-Brite wheel because it looks like it's either painted or powder coated, and the Sandblast machine doesn't take paint or powder coat off that easily. So we're going to have to do that as much as we can, and then whatever we can't get with the Scotch-Brite wheel, we're just going to have to run it with the Sandblaster. I just finished with the shock spring on the Scotch-Brite wheel, so now we just have to sandblast it, throw it through the oven for a pre-bake, and then we can powder coat it. Okay, so the parts are all sandblasted and ready to go for the pre-bake. They're sitting in the oven right now. We just have to turn the timer on. I'm going to bake them at 400 for 30 minutes just to gas them out and make sure there's no impurities on the surface. I also have the clamp that goes on the bar in there for the CR250, and then I also have the clutch and brake lever from the new 2003 XR100 behind me. That's actually my brother's bike, and I'm doing some coatings for him. So we're just going to close this door, obviously, just like that. Make sure it's set at 400, which by the looks of it is, and turn the timer for 30 minutes, and we'll set up the powder coating booth and the powder coating gun. Alright, so the parts gassed out fine, so now they're hanging from the rack over here in the booth, and they're ready to be sprayed with the first coat, which is the metallic red, and then the clear coat goes over that. Alright, spring and clamp are in there, so now we have to bake it at 400 degrees and wait for the flow out, and then once it flows out we cure it for another 2 to 3 minutes, and then we let it cool down completely to spray the clear coat. Okay, so we're going to let the parts cool off and then hang them again and spray the clear coat. Clear coat is sprayed, so now we have to wait until the parts reach 400 degrees and then the 10-minute cure time starts. Alright guys, shock spring is done, and I think it turned out amazing. So let's just get it on the shock here. Then my dad is going to take it to his work. He has a nitrogen tank there. He's going to recharge it with nitrogen. And then it should be all ready to go back on the bike once I get the engine in. Because then I'm going to finish the suspension after the engine, and then I'll probably work around to the engine, do the radiators, the carburetor, the brakes, you know, certain stuff like that. And then it's almost, at that point, it's almost pretty much done. So keep a lookout for future videos, and let's get this shock spring mounted. Alright, so I've got the shock set up in the vise here. We can just go ahead and put this spring on, and if you put it on the wrong way, it's not going to match up with these nuts down here. So just carefully put it on if it doesn't match up, which it doesn't, so you're going to have to take it back off and flip it around, like so. Same process as before, just lower it down nice and slow, and it matches up with those nuts down there. And then what we can do is we can take this plate, put it down there like that, and then take this clip here and put it in the groove like that. Now that's locked in there. Push this bumper up all the way. And then now we can start threading these nuts up, and then it'll just naturally lock this against the nut right here, and then it'll prevent the spring from coming off. And that's what you call a restored shock. Seriously, if you remember what it looked like before and to what it is now, it is a huge improvement. That powder-coated shock spring just completely refurbished overall, aside from the internals, and the new shock bearing, and it's getting new nitrogen. This thing is going to look trick on the bike, and that's the last thing we have to do with this thing, is mount it on the bike, which will be in a future video because I have to get the motor in first to mount before I can mount this. But man, this thing is awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Next video should be the motor over here, which I have it covered with a plastic garbage bag because of the media from that thing. But we should be finishing the engine up, mounting that trick head, and finishing that up and putting it in the frame over here. So keep a lookout for that video. The cylinder's supposed to come in Friday, I believe. So keep an eye out, like I said, for that video. And that's about it for this video. So like and subscribe, share it with your buddies who like dirt bikes and like powder coating and anything of that matter. And off of that, I'll see you in the next video. See you later.